Hey guys, welcome back for episode 10 of Book Beats, and today we're diving into Stolen. This one actually has a new second in the series, or a follow-up, or whatever you want to call it, the second one of it, that just came out after 10 years from the author. And it's called Stolen. It's a little, there's a little bit of a part where you think like, this is going to go bad. And then it takes a turn, so it's not too dark. But in the book, it says on the back, "Stealing Beauty. You saw me before I saw you. A girl, Gemma, at the airport on her way to a family vacation. You had that look in your eyes. A guy, Ty, rugged, tan, too old, oddly familiar, eyes blue as ice. Like you wanted me." She steps away for just a second. He pays for her drink and drugs it. "Wanted me for a long time." He takes her, before she even knows what's happening, to sand and heat, to emptiness and isolation, to nowhere, and expects her to love him. It's written as a letter from a victim to her captor. This is Gemma's desperate story of survival. Ty has stolen her body. Against every instinct screaming inside her, will he also steal Gemma's heart? Now, it sounds like it's going to be like a little Law and Order SVU episode there, but it does not go down that path. So if you're a little concerned about that, but it is a little haunting. And so for Gemma's Jams for Gemma's playlist, as part of our protagonist playlist, I've chosen The Police with Every Breath You Take. Also on our YouTube page now, you can see both the Book Beats playlist and the protagonist playlist. So you can listen to all the songs that go with all the books as well. Well, let's dive in. We'll get through a little bit of this chapter, but it is really long. Like roughly 30-ish pages in the first chapter, so we're going to hold off on going the whole end. You saw me before I saw you. In the airport, that day in August, you had that look in your eyes, as though you wanted something from me, as though you'd wanted it for a long time. No one had ever looked at me like that before, with that kind of intensity. It unsettled me, surprised me, I guess. Those blue, blue eyes, icy blue, looking back at me as if I could warm them up. They're pretty powerful, you know, those eyes. Pretty beautiful, too. You blinked quickly when I looked at you and turned away as if you were nervous, as if you felt guilty for checking out some random girl in the airport. But I wasn't random, was I? And it was a good act. I fell for it. It's funny, but I always thought I could trust blue eyes. I thought they were safe somehow. All the good guys have baby blues. The dark eyes are for the villains. The Grim Reaper, the Joker, zombies, all dark. I'd been arguing with my parents. Mom hadn't been happy about my skimpy top, and Dad was just grumpy from lack of sleep. So, seeing you, I guess it was a welcome diversion. Is that how you'd planned it? Wait until my parents had a go at me before you approached? I knew, even then, that you'd been watching me. There was a strange sort of familiarity about you. I'd seen you before, somewhere. But who were you? My eyes kept flitting back to your face. You'd been with me since London. I'd seen you in the check-in line with your small carry-on bag. I'd seen you on the plane. And now here you were in Bangkok airport, sitting in the coffee shop where I was about to order coffee. I ordered my coffee and waited for it to be made. I fumbled with my money. I didn't look back, but I knew you were still watching. Probably sounds weird, but I could just feel it. The hairs on my neck bristled when you blinked. The cashier held on to the cup until I had my money ready. Kenny, his name badge said. Strange how I can remember that. We don't take British coins, Kenny said after he'd watched me count them out. Don't you have any bills? I used them up in London. Kenny shook his head and pulled the coffee back toward him. There's a cash machine next to duty free. I felt someone move up behind me. I turned. Let me buy it, you said. Your voice was low and soft, like it was meant only for me, and your accent was strange. The short-sleeved shirt you were wearing smelled like eucalyptus, and there was a small scar on the edge of your cheek. Your eyes were too intense to stare into for long. You had a bill ready, foreign money. You smiled at me. I don't think I said thank you. Sorry about that. You took the drink from Kenny. The paper coffee cup bent a little as you grabbed it. Sugar? One? I nodded, too flustered by you being there, talking to me, to do anything else. Don't worry, I'll do it. You sit down. You gestured to where you'd been sitting, at a table between the fake palm trees, over by the window. I hesitated, but you anticipated I would. You touched me gently on your shoulder, your hand warm on my skin. Hey, it's okay. I won't bite, you said softly. There's no other seats anyway, not unless you want to sit with the Addams family over there. I followed your gaze to the empty chairs next to a large family. Two of the smaller kids were calling over the table, the parents arguing across them. I made eye contact with a girl about my age. I wonder now what would have happened if I had sat next to them. We could have talked about kids' holidays and strawberry milkshakes. Then I would have returned to my parents. I looked up at your face, with the smile creases around your mouth. The deep blue of your eyes had secrets, and I wanted to know them. I only just escaped my family, I said. I don't want another one yet. Nice work, you winked. One sugar it is, then. You guided me toward where you'd been sitting. Other customers were near your small table, making me feel more confident to approach it. It took me 10 steps to get there. I walked in kind of a daze and sat in the chair facing the window. I watched you take the drink to the stand and lift the lid off. I saw you pour the sugar in, hair falling over your eyes as you bent your head. You smiled as you noticed me looking. I wonder if that was when it happened. Were you smiling as you did it? I must have looked away for a moment to watch the planes taking off behind the glass. There was a jumbo jet teetering on its back wheels, black fumes hanging in the air behind. There was another lining up to go. Your hands must have been quick, tipping it in. Did you use any kind of distraction technique, or was nobody looking anyway? It was some kind of powder, I suppose, though not much of it. Perhaps it looked like sugar. It didn't taste any different. I turned to see you walking back, smoothly avoiding all the coffee-carrying passengers who stepped out in front of you. You didn't look at any of them, only me. Perhaps that's why nobody else seemed to notice. You moved too much like a hunter, padding silently next to the row of plastic plants as you made your line toward me. You put 2 coffees on the table and pushed one in my direction, ignoring the other. You picked up a teaspoon, twirled it idly, spinning it around in your thumb and then catching it again. I looked at your face. You were beautiful in a rough sort of way, but you were older than I'd realized. Too old for me to be sitting there with you, really. Early to mid-20s probably, maybe more. From a distance, when I'd seen you at the checkout line, your body had looked thin and small, like the 18-year-olds at my school. But up close, really looking, I could see that your arms were hard and tanned, and the skin on your face was weathered. You were as brown as a stretch of dirt. I'm Ty, you said. Your eyes darted away and then back again before you reached out your hand toward me. Your fingers were warm and rough on the palm of my hand as you took it and held on to it but didn't really shake it. You raised an eyebrow, and I realized what you wanted. Gemma, I said before I meant to. You nodded as though you already knew. But of course, I suppose you already did. Where are your parents? They've already gone to the gate. They're waiting for me there. I felt nervous, so I added, I said it wouldn't be long, just getting a coffee. One corner of your mouth turned up again and you laughed a little. When's the flight leave? About an hour. And where's it going? Vietnam. You looked impressed. I smiled at you, for the first time, I think. My mom goes all the time, I added. She's a curator, kind of like an artist who collects instead of paints. I don't know why I felt I had to explain. Just habit, I guess, from all the kids at school who ask but don't know anything. Your dad? He works in this city, stockbroker. Suited and booted, then. Something like that. Pretty boring, looking after other people's money. Not that he thinks so. I could feel myself starting to babble, so I took a sip of coffee to shut me up. As I drank, I watched a small trickle of sweat travel down your hairline. You couldn't have been hot, though. The air conditioner was beating directly onto us. Your eyes were flicking nervously all over the place, not always able to meet my gaze. That edginess made you seem shy, made me like you even more. But there was still something about you hovering in my memory. Okay, so obviously he's a little creepy, and they've met before, but she just can't quite place him. So if you want to learn more about how Gemma manages to get kidnapped and taken from the airport on her way to Vietnam and ends up in Australia, you can borrow this book from me, and it's also available in the school library. So I hope you enjoy. Have a great day. Thanks for listening.